Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Senate File 4538 looks like a really long bill. I think it's about 10 pages, but there's literally one change. And if you look on line 7.2, you'll find the change that we'll be talking about. This is a provision that we passed in 2019 and has to do with one of the paper mills in Duluth, Verso. You may remember this. We passed a $2 million MIF loan to help them in their retooling and changing of their paper line in response to the changing paper demand market. Since then, a lot of things have happened in the world, as you are all well aware, and how it's starting to impact our economy. The bill in front of us today is not one that we want to bring forward, obviously, but it's one that we feel is incredibly necessary. The bill we passed in 2019 was pretty simple. In exchange for a $2 million MIF loan, the agreement was that Verso would continue to retain up at least 200 jobs as part of their operation there, even after the retooling. Since then, the whole market has changed. So this proposal in front of you now is in response to what COVID-19 has done to the paper market. And I suspect that will continue to have impacts. So the change is dropping from 200 guaranteed jobs in Duluth down to 150. Normally, this is not something that we would probably support without significant discussion about the size of the loan, et cetera. But the circumstances are unique. And in this particular situation, I'm actually pretty pleased that Verso is continuing on in agreement with providing at least 150 jobs. Not knowing what the economy is going forward, this is something that I certainly support and will be asking for your support. But Mr. Chair, I see, at least I did see, oh, there he is. John Bastian is here from Verso. Maybe he can just talk a little bit about the mill and the impact of COVID-19 and what it is that we're looking for here.
Well, thank you, Senator Simonson, and Mr. Bastian, welcome to the committee. Please state your name for the record and feel free to begin when you're ready.
Okay, so my name is John Bastian. I'm the mill manager at the Verso Duluth Mill, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. I'm here, as Eric referenced, regarding our request to change the language for a $2 million Minnesota Investment Fund grant from DEED that was approved in the state's budgets last year. As mill manager, I have the privilege of leading and representing the many fine people that work here at the Duluth Mill. The quality of our workforce results in world-class performance in safety, quality, cost, and certainly operational performance. A wonderful example of that is the mill receiving the Governor's Award of Honor for Safety in 2020. This is the highest award for safety performance possible and requires that the mill's safety record be at least 91% better than industry average, and that on our safety program evaluation meet a score of between 91 and 100. So just to kind of give you more practical terms, what it takes to achieve this, in the last 6 years, the mill has had 3 streaks of over a year without a recordable injury. And if you know anything about the manufacturing industry, to have a manufacturing facility with over 200 employees that accomplishes 3 streaks of over a year is really unique. So we're blessed to have a great workforce, and it's a first-class mill. The mill was started up in 1987 as a world-class producer of super calendar grade paper. This type of paper is used for advertising inserts in newspapers and also in catalogs and magazines. So if you want to think about the Target ad in your Sunday paper, the Cabela's catalog that you might get in the mail, and if you happen to be as old as me and get the Art magazine, that's actually also our paper. These are excellent paying jobs for the region with a payroll and wages and benefits exceeding $25 million a year. Average employee wages vary between $60,000 and $70,000. We also have a significant economic impact in Northeast Minnesota, contributing over $100 million annually $40 million in energy purchases, over $700,000 in property taxes, and over $7 million just for environmental protection programs. We are also the city of Duluth's largest customer for electricity, water, and wastewater treatment services. And then, since manufacturing jobs support another 3 to 4 jobs within the community, our facility directly and indirectly supplies employment for approximately 800 people in Northeast Minnesota. Unfortunately, due to fundamental changes in the way people obtain information, and probably more importantly than that, how they buy products, the demand for super calendar papers has been declining at a rate of over 5% a year for the last 10 years. These market trends demand that the Duluth Mill diversify its product mix by manufacturing new products in the growing or in stable and growing markets. Our new product portfolio includes manufacturing products in the growing packaging grade sector. These products are made from 100% recyclable materials, are 100% recyclable themselves, and it requires about 40% less energy to make these paper products. We have been making packaging grade products on a limited basis for about a year. To date, we have manufactured 37 different grades and over 20,000 tons of commercial products. We have yet to have a paper quality complaint. So we've already demonstrated significant success in these markets. Unfortunately, current mill equipment capability limits our ability to increase our production of packaging grade products. To counter this, we've developed a strategic capital investment plan for the Duluth Mill that would cost in excess of $25 million and provide the mill with the ability to significantly increase the production of packaging products in addition to continuing to make SC grades. If approved, this strategic investment will ensure that the Duluth Mill is a high-wage employer and a key part of the Northeast Minnesota economy for many years to come. So why am I here today? Again, as Eric explained, the request in the original language listed the minimum number of employees at 200. We are requesting that the language be changed to reduce this number to 150. There are 2 reasons for the change. Number one, first, with a year of manufacturing experience behind us, we are confident that we can successfully run the mill with fewer employees. Secondly, we need the lower cost structure that the reduced employee numbers provide to consistently generate acceptable financial results during the normal peaks and valleys of the business cycle. Like many businesses, perhaps all businesses, COVID-19 has had a huge negative impact on our business. We currently project that it will increase our mill's financial losses by over $14 million in 2020. It is dramatically accelerating the decline of our SC business. Also, because of the increased financial losses incurred this year, the return on the Duluth strategic investment opportunity has been lowered significantly. Candidly, we need both the $2 million grant and the lower headcount number to convince our leadership that this strategic investment must be made. The consequence of this not occurring is unfortunately likely a mill shutdown. Thank you for this opportunity to speak today, and I'd be more than happy to entertain any questions that you may have.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Bastian? Mr. Bastian, I guess I have a question and one of clarification. So, we gave you, we gave $2 million to this project on the understanding that there would be 200 jobs. Now, the fact that you can operate the mill with fewer and less expensively, I get that. But there was a commitment made. The way I understood it with Mr. Priley was the demand in super calendar paper dropped to the point that it's diseconomic to actually produce it, and all the job losses were associated with that. And so I just want to make sure that's clarified and I understand that.
Yeah, well, I think the decline in super calendar grades is necessitating our our change to making packaging products. We just, unfortunately, the truth be told, we're making super calendar grades at a loss. The other thing that happens when you manufacture super calendar grades, it's a much more complex process, requires more equipment, so you need a higher headcount number. Packaging grades, in manufacturing them, the operation is significantly simplified, and you need far less people to manufacture packaging grades than you do super calendar grades. So I guess, Chairman Pratt, I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, I guess I want to make it, you're not cutting any jobs in the packaging and the recycling area. This is tied specifically to the change in market and the economic downturn for the super calendar paper, because that's how I understood it when I talked to Mr. Criley about this. Just because you can run the plant with fewer people doesn't mean that, you know, we didn't have an agreement on the number of jobs. There's been a fundamental shift in and I just want to make it perfectly clear where these job cuts are coming from.
Yes, now that I understand your question, I can answer it better. If we go to an all packaging mix, which we would certainly entertain doing if the financial situation resulted in it, then several areas in the mill will no longer operate, and that is where the headcount reduction comes from. I think that addresses your questions. So an all packaging mix requires essentially 3 different operating areas in the mill to no longer operate, and therefore that is where the headcount reduction comes from.
Senator Simonson, did you have something on this topic?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Bastian. And I just want to kind of re-emphasize where I'm coming from with this. We went round and round about how we come at this problem that Verso is experiencing, and the reality is that based on the crisis going on around us, we're going to need every single manufacturing and industrial job that we can get our hands on and that we can maintain, whether it be in Duluth or in Cohasset or down here in the Twin Cities. We're in a situation where Verso could very easily say this $2 million is the difference between making or breaking this project, and I think you heard that from Mr. Bastian. In a normal circumstances, you know, if we were not facing this crisis that we're in, I don't know that I would come back to you and ask you for this. But in my mind, it was articulated very clearly to me that the primary driver is not just the fact that they can do it with 150 people, but the fact of the matter is that the COVID-19 crisis has shifted the demand as well. And we need to do everything that we can do to try to maintain this mill in operation. That's just kind of my position.
Okay, any other questions? We have Senator Ecke.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick little question for Mr. Bastian. As he finished up his first testimony, he kind of finished with the fact that basically leadership or management would probably keep the plant going with this new change. Is it kind of an iffy thing yet if it's going to stay online and continue to go, or is it a more certain comment that with this and your current working with the recyclables and the containers that should be a viable product for, you know, at least the near future, if not the extended future?
Okay, thank you for the question. Yes, there is no doubt. We have done an extensive look at markets strategically, and the packaging grade market, both the container board market and kraft paper market, and are growing at a rate of between 4 and 6% per year. We are very confident in our ability to be successful in this market, given that we've already made 20,000 tons of these products commercially. And if the company is going to invest more than $25 million, they're committed to the future of this mill, and this facility will continue to operate for some period of time. I should mention, once we're fully converted and have optimized our customer base. You know, part of selling the project is the mill has very solid financial returns, and we have done an extensive look at that over really the last 2 years. So we're very confident in our ability to make the product if we make this investment to convert to these products and to generate good financial results.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions for Senator Simonson or Mr. Bastian? Okay. Seeing none. Senator Simonson, would you like to move passage of Senate File 4538 to the floor?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would move Senate File 4538 to be recommended to pass and move to the Senate floor.
Thank you. If there are no objections, senators, if you just turn on your cameras for a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye and putting your thumb up.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, hearing none, that motion passes. Next we have
Thank you.
Commissioner Janet Johnson. Welcome to the committee, Commissioner. We don't see you very often.
That's probably a good thing, Mr. Chair. I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And
members, we're gonna please feel free to begin when you're ready, Commissioner.
Okay. I just want to start off by thanking you, Mr. Chair, and the committee for giving me the money for my mediator trainee program last year. But unfortunately, we are still working on that. We had some trouble in the beginning getting it through and getting so that I could do that. We're still working on to getting it honed with the qualifications that I think it should have to fill it like I want to fill it. I don't believe it needs the high qualifications that our HR people want to put on it, because that takes it out of the realm, as far as I'm concerned, of a trainee program. So we're still working on that with our HR people, and they remind me that there is a hiring freeze on now, but we're going to keep working on it because I want to fulfill that, as I told you I would last year. And another thing you asked me, Mr. Chair, was about the 10% budget reduction letter that you sent me in April. And my deputy commissioner and myself have been working on that diligently and running various scenarios to come up to see what we can do to what option is going to have the least impact on our people and our stakeholders and our programs that we do for the state of Minnesota. So we are working on that, and we have come up with different scenarios, and we're still trying to go through that every day, though, to make sure we're doing it the right way so that it doesn't harm as many people or programs. And that's about it, Mr. Chair, unless you have any questions or anyone else has any questions.
Well, thank you. Commissioner, since this is your confirmation hearing, maybe tell a little bit of department. Yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about your department, because I think you're kind of unique in state government with this. Am I frozen? Hello? Oh.
I can hear you, Mr. Chair.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Senator Champion. I shut off my camera just in case. Commissioner, maybe tell us a little bit about your department. I think you're kind of unique in your size and scope, and then a little bit about your background, because I think you have a fascinating background for this role.
Sure. I'll start out with my background, Mr. Chair. I started at the Bureau in 1976 as a court reporter. And I did court reporting for probably 8 years. And back then we had directors, not commissioners for our agency. And they did away with court reporting, but he asked me if I would stay on in our hearings section. Back then we had 35 people, so we had different sections. We had hearing section, mediation section. And so I did. I stayed on in the representation section and worked with the hearing officers, and kind of along the lines as a paralegal would, doing research, helping them write their orders after hearings, would do some transcribing of their hearings, because back then we went to 8-tracking. Then after that, we became a cabinet level agency in the 80s, and the commissioner then said, would I want to be a hearing officer for the Bureau? And I said, absolutely. So I went to the Judicial College, came back, I did hearings for the Bureau. And then, as you know, our commissioners change when we get new governors. We had a commissioner who told me that the position or the classification was not hearing officer, the classification was mediator. So I went through this trainee program to be a mediator, and then became a mediator, and then I became a manager, and then I was appointed as commissioner in 2019. So that's my background. We are the smallest cabinet level agency in the state. As I said before, we had 35 people during my tenure here. Right now we have 12. We need to kind of grow us a little more. We cover the entire state of Minnesota. We go from border to border. We go to every county. The statute says that we will hold mediation sessions in the county where the employer is located. So that's what our mediators do. We do mediations. We do for contracts. We also do grievance mediation. And we do hearings, representation hearings. We do elections. We do union democracy elections. Our hearings focus on what is the appropriate unit, who's supervisory confidential, whether they're a public employee or not. We do independent reviews. We do fair share, or not fair share, I'm sorry. We used to do fair share because that U.S. Supreme Court back in 2018, we no longer do fair share hearings. We do trainings. We facilitate labor management committees for employers and unions to help them maintain a good working relationship between negotiation sessions. And that's all new. We did not do that, the trainings or the labor management committees, when we had 35 people. So that's something relatively new that all of our mediators do. And we have shrunk. We're a third of the size that we were. And we are still doing everything we did plus more.
Okay.
Any other questions I can answer for you?
Do we have any other questions for Commissioner Johnson? I don't see any. Thank you for that, Commissioner. Senator Champion, would you like to move that Commissioner Johnson be sent out of the committee with recommendation to confirm?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that's my motion.
Thank you. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye and give us a thumbs up.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the committee members for giving me this opportunity.
Last on the agenda, members, we have confirmation review for Senator Phillips of the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board. Boy, that's hard to say when you're used to just saying IRRR.
Yes, that's why we put the acronym in statute, Senator Pratt, so we don't have to say that very often. But So
Thank
for the record, I'm Mark Phillips. I'm the current commissioner at the IRRB. So similarly, do you want me to just give a quick background of the agency and then a little bit about myself, or?
That'd be perfect. Thanks.
Okay, sure. So the origins of the Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation Board go back to the late 1930s. So in the 1920s, the iron mining industry was mining about 30 to 35 million tons of natural iron ore right out of the ground every year. And they were paying about $18 million a year in ad valorem real estate or unmined taconite or unmined iron ore taxes, property taxes. And then came the Great Depression in the 30s, and all of a sudden they were mining 3 million tons of ore and still paying like 16 to $17 million worth of taxes. And they felt that they needed some special dispensation for the nature of their business. So they were paying on assets that they weren't using anymore. So then Republican Governor Harold Stassen appointed a commission that were looking at this problem. And that commission embraced an idea that came out of the Junior Chamber of Commerce up on the Iron Range in Chisholm. That idea was to have a rehabilitation agency that would diversify the economy and help with these ups and downs and the cyclical nature of the iron mining industry. And so on April 27th, almost 79 years to the day, actually, Harold Stassen signed into law to create the Office of the Commissioner of Iron Range Resources and Rehabilitation. And the statutory sightings, if you wanted to review them, are Minnesota Statutes 298.22. And those have been upgraded over the years. In fact, in 1973, they developed the language that said the agency would develop the remaining resources to include, but not be limited to, tourism. So tourism is one of the few things that's specifically stated in our statute. Just to give you another flavor for the agency, we're one of the, I believe, only 2 cabinet level agencies that are regional in scope. And so we cover about 13,000 square miles in northeastern Minnesota, 53 cities, 134 townships. The boundaries of our service territory are by school district boundaries, and there's 15 we call taconite school districts. And if you had a mineral valuation, or if you had a processing plant, or if you had a power plant that served a processing plant, there are certain parameters that got your school district in. And if any point was in, the whole school district is in. And that's why the makeup of the map that I think Andy passed out to everybody or sent to everybody in advance. We touch on 4 tribal nations, very small touches on Leech Lake and Fond du Lac, but we have pretty significant geography with Boys Fort and Grand Portage. The area is really about the size of the state of West Virginia, so it's a pretty substantial service territory. But it's all about mining. Just to give a flavor for this, because I don't want to bury you in detail, taconite taxes run north and south of about $100 million a year. So in a very good year, which I believe our last peak year recently was 2015, was about $110 million of total taxes paid by the industry of their production tax. And then just a year or so ago, we were down to about 93 million tons. So it's about a 15 to 18% up and down. And that was based on some idling of facilities back in 14 and 15. And because the taxes are based on 3-year averages, And that takes some of the bumps out of the road if you have just one bad year or a bad 6-month period or something. But we've had some sustained, we had a Keewatin taconite was down for a couple of years. So that makes with the 3-year averaging, makes what I call the trough can be deep and long. And we are finally coming out of that. So I was excited for having, getting back to one of the peaks here in 2020. Our taxes, unlike the state government, we do not operate on projected taxes. We get our dedicated revenues after they're assessed and collected, or as they're being collected, but once they're figured out. So we know exactly how much money we're going to have for our budgets. Our budgets are based on annual budgets because of the way the production tax is. So you have a production year and then a tax year. So we're different than the normal state government. Other than a little bit of commercial industrial property tax relief, we really don't get any general funding. That we operate with these taconite production taxes, and we get what we get. So we have to plan for our own rainy days. So back in 15, when we peaked and we knew those plants were down, we set aside what we call carry forward or whatever reserves for those lean years. And we've managed these bumps in the roads pretty well over the years and maintained our programs at reasonable levels. They certainly go up and down with this. So I don't know if you read the newspaper recently, but there's been a number of plant idlings announced. 3 of our 6 plants are going to be idled, and another one is going to be throttle back some of its production to balance their inventories. So when I talk about this big number, this $100 million number, just to give you a flavor, the distributions are made by formula, so they aren't levied against budgets. So most property taxes in your county, let's say, the county has a budget, the city has a budget, the school district has a budget, and they develop mill rates based on valuations, and then they levy against those budgets. Because these taxes are legislated rather than levied against a budget, they're distributed by formula. So about 55% of it goes back to the same places your commercial industrial property taxes in your county goes. They go to the city, the county, the school district, and in the case of our area, some of it goes to property tax relief. About 9% of it is returned to the taxpayers, the mining companies, through a rebate program they have. And to be eligible for their tax rebate, in other words, they get about a 9% deal on their taxes if they'll reinvest that money and match it in capital investments that extend the life of the mine or reduce production costs, which in effect extends the life of the mine. And this program, we operate the program. It's a grant program, but essentially a tax rebate. And so a substantial amount of money, but about 36% of the taconite dollars end up at the agency in some way. And most of those dollars are legislatively directed. So we have a higher education fund, we have a K-12 program, things like that. So what comes back to the agencies and the board's discretion is quite a bit less than the big numbers I've been talking about. So what do we do with that money? And I'll try to be as brief as I can. We work in 3 areas. We have economic development programs. We have a whole slew of business development loans. We do commercial and residential redevelopment with a demolition program we have to clean up blighted properties and things like that. We have, again, on that side of the thing, the business side is driven by the economy. I said for years we were looking for jobs for people we had, and now we're looking for people for jobs we have. And I think the whole state has gone through that transformation. So that's another whole program we have. In addition to our business side, we have a workforce development side. And through that side and our higher education investments and things, we've been fortunate to develop some 4-year programs. We're in an area that has quite a bit of investment in the Minnesota state system with 2-year community colleges and technical colleges. But we lack particularly up in the northern part of the Taconite area, we lack a 4-year university. So we get 4-year programming from other universities. So I'll just give you an example. We have something called Iron Range Engineering, which is a 4-year applied engineering program. And when your degree is confirmed, you never have to leave Mesabi Community College, but your degree is confirmed from Mankato State. And it's an applied program, so you spend a good part of your time with a company doing real engineering projects. That's just an example of one of our workforce things. But we try to customize our workforce programs so that we're filling gaps and needs in the region for what our employers are looking for and needed. Our last thing is our community development side, where we provide public works financing, and we leverage a lot of the programs that are provided by the state and federal government through the Public Facilities Authority or the USDA Rural Development. But we're the local match. Again, if you keep in mind, we are commercial industrial property taxes really for our region. So they're local taxes, and we're distributing them. And we become the local match for broadband investments on the border broadband fund. We do business energy projects. We do commercial redevelopment projects, culture and tourism projects, downtown stuff. We do trail development, residential redevelopment. So a lot of different programs that help our communities grow and prosper. So, and then one last thing on the tourism side, we, back when Reserve Mining Company went down and filed bankruptcy, and then ultimately LTV, the agency invested in the Giants Ridge recreational area, which has been quite a large tourism investment for the agency over the years. It provides about $43 million worth of economic impact. And that was a study that we commissioned about 5 years ago. We're going to relook at it after we made some changes trying to improve our operating efficiencies there. So we're going to reevaluate the economic impact here in the next year or so. But that's our tourism side of our shop. So to talk about my connection, so I worked at the agency back in the depths of the steel recession in the 1980s for then Governor Perpich. Did I lose you? I hope not.
No, we're still here, Commissioner.
Oh, you can still hear me? Okay, thank you. I lost my picture. So I worked for, again, for the agency back in the 80s and actually was their first director of economic development and community development at that time and developed a lot of the programs that we continue to operate. And so we are, so fast forward, I spent the next 25 years or so working in the economic development world, but in different facets. I worked for 10 years at Minnesota Power as their director of economic development. I worked as part of a group called Northeast Ventures. It was one of the first community development venture capital firms in the country. And then ultimately worked my way back. I was in the construction industry doing business development, things like that. And then in 2011, I was appointed by then Governor Dayton to be the deed commissioner for a couple of years. And then ultimately I moved back to my home area in northeastern Minnesota, and Governor Dayton saw it fit to appoint me to be the IRRB commissioner in 2015, and then was reappointed by Governor Walz in 2019. With that, I think I'll take questions.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Commissioner Phillips? Commissioner, just, I don't see any any other questions, so I'll kind of jump in.
Mhm.
You and I had a conversation. We also sent you a request asking about a 10% cut in your budget and wondering if you wanted to update the committee on that.
Well, I have prepared, and I just haven't sent it because I wanted to have this conversation first, but I've prepared a letter to you explaining. So usually in past administrations, again, I've worked at the agency over decades at different points, but we usually don't get involved. So the legislature doesn't approve our budget. We get dedicated funds based on the production tax. In fact, when the state was enjoying these surpluses, I just explained to you, we were in one of our deepest troughs of recent times. So our budgets were down 15, 18% from their peaks. And now we're seeing money going up, but we're still going to have to be frugal because we, again, have to plan for the future. This bump in the road or this trough could be deep and long, depending on when these taconite facilities will be put back into operation. Now, they, in past years, a lot of their problems were developed because of illegal steel dumping in the US. And right now, this is basically this downturn has been created by COVID because the auto industry has been idled and some of the other intermediary places where taconite pellets go have been idled. So we're assuming that if the auto industry gets going again and everything, that they would be coming back. So our budgeting is done annually, as I mentioned. We're not part of the general fund budget. Our budget isn't approved by the legislature. So just by its nature, it doesn't lend itself to being reviewed for a 10% cut scenario, I guess. We're going to have to make our own budget decisions, and they are approved then by the IRRB board. I didn't mention the board much, but it's made up of 9 senators and representatives that have, I believe, a majority of their citizens are in the taconite tax assistance area. And that 9-member board is probably as balanced as it has been, Republican, Democrat. And it's my relationship with the board has been excellent. And so we seem to see eye to eye. The budgets I've been involved with in the last 5 years have gone fairly well. I do ask for a lot of feedback and participation by my board members because they're the boots on the ground in their respective communities. So they have a lot of involvement and a lot to say. We do bring projects back to the board for, so even if it's budgeted, a grant to communities, they are approved by program guidelines, and then they're brought back to the board for final approval. So I get oversight in a little different way than maybe some other commissioners do in state government, but I have a lot of oversight, I guess.
Okay. Any other questions for Commissioner Phillips? Commissioner, one of the roles of the IRRR is to diversify the economy. You talked about Giants Ridge, but certainly tourism jobs don't pay as well as union mining jobs. Now we've got a lot of miners that are laid off and furloughed due to a drop in demand for taconite and steel. I'm wondering if you can talk about maybe some of the things that you're looking at to help diversify to bring those comparably paid jobs back to the range or attract those comparably paid jobs to the range for the first time.
Yeah, the majority of our business development programs focus on other manufacturing type jobs. We've also done quite a bit in what we call customer care jobs. We have a big Delta Airlines reservation center up in Chisholm. And they recently, because of social distancing, actually relocated part of their workforce into a closed school building in Mountain Iron so they could spread all their 400 employees out. We also have substantial facilities with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota and Anthem, which is another healthcare provider like Blue Cross across the country. They have call centers and what they call customer care facilities up in Gilbert, Minnesota. But we have manufacturing. I don't know if you know ASV out of Grand Rapids area. They make the skid steer type devices, tracked vehicles, I guess you'd call it. They have heavy involvement from Caterpillar, market their products. Gas Corporation, we have one of the only solar panel manufacturing facilities called Halion, a Canadian company that occupies a manufacturing facility in Mountain Iron. So we have quite a bit of, actually have diversified the economy quite significantly up our way.
So with some of the furloughs, how are you guys doing up there?
Well, some of these, they're just, in fact, some of them are just starting this week. And some of them are announced for 2 months. The one that concerns us the most, again, is Keytech, because they said it's going to be idle. They're doing some major maintenance, and then they're going to idle indefinitely. So I think a lot will depend on the auto industry. With U.S. Steel, a lot of it's the pipe, and it depends on the oil. And when oil prices went negative, that wasn't good for U.S. Steel in the pipe business. So we're, I'm cautiously optimistic, though, that when these industries come back, that these mines will come back, because they reacted very quickly. And usually if they react very quickly, they don't make a lot of pellets and then shut down. That means they're anticipating that they could start up quickly to get back in the marketplace. We've been through this before. So the people from DEED that do rapid response for large, what we call warn notices when large layoffs occur, unfortunately, we know these people by their first names up on the Iron Range. I wish I didn't know them, but and then I have some experience with this because I was at DEED for a couple of years and these people worked for me. So the unions up here are very good at working with the companies on layoff planning to try to minimize layoffs and how they could do it. In fact, I read in the newspaper that U.S. Steel is going to have an 11-week layoff in the pit and a shorter layoff in the plant, and the longer one in the pit because they could, it would be a little longer, but they would furlough less employees. So and this is a work between the union and the company of trying to eliminate or minimize employee layoffs. We usually have, when these layoffs in the past have been a result of trade issues, there are special Trade Adjustment Act, TAA benefits that these miners go for. And there's still some talk about that at Keewatin Taconite that they'd be applying for TAA benefits because they believe that it's still the hangover of the foreign markets that prevent Keewatin from getting back up and operating in a shorter time frame like the other ones. So although we're accustomed to it, it's never easy and it's a difficult time, and it came out of the blue because we were anticipating pretty much high production for the next few years. So it's a very challenging situation.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, Senator Eichhorn, would you move that Commissioner Phillips be sent out of the committee with recommendation to confirm? You're on mute.
Phillips.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Restate the motion, please?
Oh, yes, I would like to move that Commissioner Phillips do be recommended to pass the committee with recommendation.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Give us a thumbs up.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That motion carries. Congratulations and thank you, Senator Phillips, or Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Johnson, we appreciate your time today. Members, we are planning to meet on Wednesday. We potentially have a bill to review and 2 more confirmations. So depending on floor session, please stay flexible. If there's no other business to come before the committee,